Welcome to Nick Knight's Corner. Today I'm going to talk to you about my top 5 favorite Stephen King books that I have read so far. Next year this may change, but for this year this is what I've come up with. So without further ado, let's get into number 5. Number 5 is Stephen King's It. A story about a cosmic clown that comes to town to cause fear and havoc amongst its children population and cast a spell on its adult population. I found it to be a page turner every step of the way, with one of his worst endings but one of his best storytellings out of any of his books. I really enjoy the coming of age story. I love the horror aspect he puts into it, and it may even be the most messed up book I've ever read in my life. It is very dark and strange, and it was something that I truly love and would definitely even reread again sometime in the near future, and probably will in a few years' time. It is, once again, so interesting, and I would highly recommend, if you're into Stephen King, pick it up and read it, because it is one that will definitely keep you thinking a few days after you're done. Now, my number 4 pick, some of you may disagree and have this at your number 1, but for me, number 4 is Misery. It is so well told. If you skip over the Misery chapters that Paul Sheldon writes, the book is flawless. I think Annie Wilkes as a bad guy is so freaky, and I really enjoyed it. It was so well done. Poor Paul Sheldon went through the ringer. There were parts in that book I remember that made me stop and just think for a while, make me cringe, when he was in the basement with the rats all around him, things like that. There was a lot of interesting things within this book that Stephen King did so right. So for that, it goes to number 4. Number 3 on my list is Stephen King's The Green Mile. Not quite a horror story, but a supernatural one about a guy who can heal people. It's very well told. I would even go as far to say maybe even Stephen King's strongest writing out of any of his books, beginning, middle, and end. It is very well done, with interesting characters, with a lot of depth, with a lot going on. I would highly recommend getting this, whether you are a Stephen King fan or not. If you don't like Stephen King, pick up The Green Mile and read it. It'll give you an idea of what he's like when he's not doing horror. And I would say it's one of his best books for sure. Some people may even have it as their first pick. This one here would have been my first pick if the other book didn't make me think about it still to this day. This is my number 2 pick, is The Shining. Of course, we follow Jack Torrance going into the Outlook Hotel and becoming its caretaker. I enjoy The Shining and everything that happens within the Overlook Hotel, right up until the very end of the book. Now, The Shining book and The Shining movie are 2 different beasts. They do 2 different things, and they almost have 2 different stories going on. They just happen to take place in the same place with the same characters of the same name. So if you haven't read The Shining but you've seen the movie, go pick up the book. It is vastly different. The hedge animals are definitely freaky, and the whole story, the whole room 217 or whatever it is it on here? 217 has a very freaky chapter, freaky sequence, and I highly recommend checking that one out, because it will give you the atmosphere you're looking for. It will give you the character work you're looking for, and it will be satisfying by the time it's all said and done. Now, my number 1 pick is my favorite one of them all. It's Pet Sematary. It is Stephen King at his most darkest and maybe even his cheesiest. But the cheesiness of it is not to be swayed. The cheesiness of it still makes it freaky. I'm not going to go into it in case you haven't read it, because you'll see what I mean when you get there. But when you're reading it, you will be thinking about this book for months to come. I'm still thinking about this book and how it has affected me and the thoughts I have on what is going on inside this story. That book club was maybe the most active book club I ran was Pet Sematary, because everyone was constantly digging into the information underneath it all and trying to give us all the information possible that pertained to the scariness and everything like that. So if you haven't read Pet Sematary yet, definitely check it out. It is bar none my favorite of his, and I highly recommend any of these 5 books. There's a bunch more of his books that I would definitely recommend as well. If you're a Stephen King fan and have been for a long time, what are your top 5 favorite books? Put them in the comments below, please and thank you. And hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful day. Bye.